The tragic tale of Cain and Abel in the ancient days of creation. After Adam and Eve were cast out of the Garden of Eden for their disobedience to God, they began a new life on earth. The lush paradise they had known was now replaced by the harsh realities of life. They toiled the soil, worked hard to produce food, and started a family. God blessed them with 2 sons, Cain and Abel. Cain, the elder, grew up to be a farmer, skilled in the art of tilling the land and cultivating crops. His hands were often stained with the rich, dark soil as he labored under the sun, bringing forth the fruits of the earth. Abel, on the other hand, became a shepherd. He tended to his flock with care, leading them to green pastures and clear waters, ensuring they were well fed and protected from harm. As time passed, the 2 brothers continued in their chosen paths, each devoted to their work. Despite their different vocations, they were bound by the traditions of their parents, who had taught them the importance of honoring God. Adam and Eve had made it clear that their survival outside of Eden was due to God's mercy, and thus, they owed him everything. In keeping with these teachings, both Cain and Abel prepared offerings to present before the Lord. Cain, proud of the produce he had grown with his own hands, selected a portion of his crops as an offering. The grains were abundant, the fruits ripe, and the vegetables fresh. He believed that his hard work would please God, for he had given the best of what he had produced. Abel, too, prepared his offering. As a shepherd, he understood the deep connection between life and sacrifice. He chose the finest lambs from his flock, those without blemish, strong and healthy. These were not just any lambs, they were the firstborn of his flock, the most prized and precious of his possessions. Abel's heart was pure, and his offering was made with sincere devotion and reverence for God. The day arrived when the brothers were to present their offerings. They built altars, each laying out what they had brought before the Lord. Cain, with a sense of pride and accomplishment, placed his crops on the altar. Abel, with humility and deep respect, offered the lambs he had chosen. As the smoke from their sacrifices rose to the heavens, both awaited God's response. God, who sees not only the outward appearance but also the heart, was pleased with Abel's offering. The lambs, given with love and humility, were a reflection of Abel's sincere faith. Abel's dedication and reverence were clear to God, who accepted his offering with favor. Cain, however, did not receive the same response. God was not pleased with Cain's offering, not because of the quality of the crops, but because of the attitude with which they were given. Cain's heart was filled with pride and self-righteousness, and his offering was made more out of obligation than out of genuine devotion. When Cain realized that his offering was not accepted, his face darkened with anger and resentment. His heart, already tainted with pride, now festered with jealousy. How could God favor Abel, the younger brother, over him? The seeds of envy took root in his soul, growing into a dark and twisted anger. God, seeing the turmoil in Cain's heart, spoke to him gently, offering him guidance. "Why are you angry?" God asked. "Why is your face downcast? If you do what is right, will you not be accepted? But if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it." These words were a warning, a chance for Cain to turn away from the path he was beginning to walk. God was urging him to master his emotions, to control the anger and jealousy that were consuming him. But Cain, blinded by his rage and envy, refused to listen. He did not respond to God's counsel, choosing instead to let the bitterness in his heart grow. Days passed, but Cain's feelings did not subside. He avoided Abel, his thoughts consumed by the perceived injustice. Abel, unaware of the depth of his brother's anger, continued with his life, tending to his flock and living in peace. But Cain's anger festered, turning into hatred. One day, while they were in the fields, far from their home and family, Cain saw an opportunity to act on his dark thoughts. The 2 brothers were alone, and the silence between them was heavy with unspoken words. In a sudden, violent outburst, Cain attacked Abel. His actions were driven by the rage that had been building inside him, and with a swift and brutal strike, he killed his brother. Abel, the innocent and devoted brother, lay lifeless on the ground, his blood soaking into the earth. The first murder in human history had been committed, not by a stranger, but by one brother against another. Cain, standing over the body of his brother, was suddenly struck by the gravity of his actions. The realization of what he had done began to sink in, but it was too late. Abel was gone. As the day faded into night, the weight of Cain's crime bore down on him. He had not only taken a life but had defied God's warning, allowing sin to consume him. The consequences of his actions would soon follow. God, who is all-seeing and all-knowing, approached Cain. His voice, filled with sorrow, asked, "Where's your brother Abel?" Cain, still reeling from what he had done, responded in a defiant and sulking voice, "I don't know. Am I my brother's keeper?" But Cain could not hide from God. The blood of Abel cried out from the ground, bearing witness to the terrible deed. God's voice thundered with righteous judgment as he confronted Cain with his crime. "What have you done? Listen. Your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground." Cain had sinned grievously, and the consequences of his actions were severe. God pronounced judgment on him, condemning him to be a wanderer and a fugitive on the earth. No longer would he find peace or rest, he would be forever marked by the guilt of his brother's blood. The ground, which had received Abel's blood, would no longer yield its strength to Cain. He would labor in vain, and his efforts would be fruitless. Filled with despair, Cain cried out to God, "My punishment is more than I can bear. Today you are driving me from the land, and I will be hidden from your presence. I will be a restless wanderer on the earth, and whoever finds me will kill me." But even in his judgment, God showed mercy. He placed a mark on Cain, a sign that would protect him from those who might seek to harm him. God declared that if anyone killed Cain, they would suffer vengeance 7 times over. With this mark, Cain was spared from immediate death, but he was condemned to live a life of wandering, bearing the weight of his crime for the rest of his days. Cain left the presence of God and went to live in the land of Nod, east of Eden. He became a restless wanderer, forever marked by his actions. The story of Cain and Abel serves as a powerful reminder of the dangers of envy, anger, and unchecked sin. It teaches that God sees beyond our outward actions to the intentions of our hearts, and that there are always consequences for our choices. In the end, Cain's story is one of tragedy of a man who allowed his emotions to lead him down a dark path, resulting in the loss of his brother and his place in the world. It is a story that echoes through the ages, reminding us of the importance of mastering our desires, seeking righteousness, and living in peace with one another.